Lord Mahavir and Yaksha Shulpani.
Lord Mahavir renounced the worldly life, took Diksha, leaving the royal palace, and his relatives in order to undertake spiritual practice for realization of the self. After taking Diksha, he started his journey towards the jungle. On the way to the jungle, he first came to a village called Morak, where he stayed in a hermitage, or ashram, belonging to an ascetic. The head sage arranged for Mahavir to stay in a grass hut. Mahavir remained in the meditation of the self, all day and night. Hungry cows began to nibble at the grass hut, and the hut began to fall apart. The head sage asked Mahavir to take care of the hut, but Mahavir had left the royal palace in order to realize the self, so why would he now worry about a grass hut? Without any bitterness, after informing the head sage of his decision, he set off to find another quiet and peaceful place. On the way, he took 5 vows. 1. Not to live in a place where anyone would get hurt. 2. To remain in meditation at whatever place he stayed and to find a place that would facilitate this. 3. Remain in silence wherever possible. 4. To use hands for collecting alms, instead of a vessel. 5. Not to flatter anyone. As he advanced in his search for a quiet place, Mahavir left Morak village, and came to another village called Astik. There was a small hill outside the village. On top of the hill, there was a small temple dedicated to a demigod called Shulpani. Mahavir was very pleased with this place. As he had vowed that he would not take anything from anyone without asking, he approached the local people for permission to use the temple. Explaining the facts about the temple, the villagers said, there is no problem in using the temple during daytime. However, Shulpani, the demigod of the temple, kills those who rest there during the night. The villagers narrated to Mahavir the reason behind the demigod, Shulpani's fatal actions. It was like this. The original name of this village was Vardhaman. A river called Vegati flowed nearby. The banks of river Vegati were full of sticky alluvium mud. Once, a merchant named Dhandev approached the village with 500 carts. But, crossing the muddy banks of this river became very difficult for him. Although the bulls were quite strong, the carts kept sticking in the mud. However, one of the bulls was the strongest of the lot. He lived up to his reputation. One by one, he teamed up with the other bulls, and helped to pull all 500 carts across the river. But, in the end, this bull collapsed to the ground bleeding. Dhandev did not want to leave behind this faithful bull in such a state, but it was rainy season, and all these goods were at stake. Reluctantly he asked the villagers to take care of the sick bull, and left a large sum of money with them for this purpose. However, the villagers completely neglected the bull. Lack of medicine and food led to a lot of pain and suffering for the bull before it died. It was reborn as demigod, Yaksha Dev, named Shulpani. The flames of revenge were burning in his heart for the villagers. In order to wreak vengeance, he began killing the villagers and soon there was a pile of bones. As a result, the name of the village changed to Astik Gram. Asti means bones. The villagers were threatened by Shulpani's wrath, hence they performed rituals, and kept religious vows. A demigod, Winter Dev, appeared and as per his suggestion, the villagers built a temple on top of a hill on the outskirts of the village. They dedicated this temple to the Yaksha by establishing his idol, and they regularly worshipped him. As a result, the Yaksha calmed down, but his destructive exploits didn't stop. Whoever stayed in the temple at night did not come out alive. Mahavir listened to the whole story. However, he was without fear. Nirbhay. The villagers urged him to stay somewhere else. But after all, he was Mahavir, the victorious one. A brave person on the path of liberation has no fear of death. He got permission from the villagers to stay at this temple throughout the rainy season. They stared in amazement as Mahavir strode towards the temple. As night approached, Yaksha Shulpani noticed that today a human has gathered up enough courage to spend a night at the temple. The Yaksha was enraged. He started to harass Mahavir. The entire temple resounded with a terrible sound. It sounded like an eerie laughter. A laughter that can shake the earth, move the mountains, frighten the birds to death, and stifle the mighty ones. But Mahavir did not flinch. The angry Yaksha took forms of an elephant, evil spirit, and a deadly cobra to defeat Mahavir, but to no avail. Mahavir felt neither any fear nor any worry. Then Shulpani left no stone unturned to inflict pain upon Mahavir's body. But what is pain to a person who has no attachment for the body? As the intensity of Shulpani's torture increased, Mahavir's soul force increased. This went on until midnight. But eventually, Shulpani's strength started decreasing. He thought, today something strange has happened. A celestial god like me has become helpless against an ordinary mortal. Lord Mahavir was still standing firmly. Shulpani's eyes, tired with anger, met with the compassionate eyes of the Lord, and something magical happened. Shulpani fell down at the Lord's feet. At the instant his eyes met with the Lord's, the poison of anger, revenge, hatred, pride and cruelty, that had pervaded within him, disappeared. The Lord revealed to Shulpani his previous life. You were a bull in your previous life. You had helped 500 carts and 1,000 bulls to cross the river without paying any attention to what would happen to you. At that time, even though you had the body of an animal, you filled it with the nectar of compassion instead of beastliness. It is due to that compassion that you attained the life of a deity. However, your intention to take revenge against the villagers gave rise to anger, hatred, and ego within yourself. You forgot your godliness, and became a worshipper of beastliness. The one who gives utmost pain to innocent human beings, and loses his self-worth in the fire of vengeance, is he a deity or a beast? When you were an animal, you performed a deed that would suit the deities, and when you became a deity, your deeds were outrageous enough to shame even the animals. Now you tell me, who will progress, the deity or the animal? Shulpani understood his mistake. Picking up the dust under the Lord's feet, he touched it to his forehead, and vowed never to hurt anyone again. Joyfully he began to worship the Lord, and requested the Lord to stay there for the rest of the year. The Lord beamed with happiness when he saw the transformation in Shulpani.
Jai Sachidanand.